Good evening.
Hey, how's it going, man?
So far, so good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
I'm
A little bit.
tireder than I expected to be.
I was just gonna say I'm a bit tired today. I don't know why.
Well, good. That means maybe both of us will uh, decide to wrap it a little bit early.
Indeed. What's got you tired?
I don't know. I just yesterday and today both. I struggled through physical activity, and I just exhausted in general. Nothing else. So I assume it's just kind of either overall stress, breakdown, not enough recovery kind of stuff, or just poor sleep. One of the two.
I think mine goes back to poor sleep. My tiredness.
I'm sure that's part of mine because I know last night I didn't sleep well, but the night before, I'm not entirely sure.
See, I think I slept well 2 nights ago, but last night I did not sleep well. I think I just didn't sleep enough, and I'm already looking forward to getting in bed and getting all cozy. I woke up feeling really cozy, and I just didn't want to get up this morning.
I don't remember. So I read something that kind of shifted my idea of how to handle that, like early morning drowsiness kind of thing. And I don't remember exactly where it was, but essentially it talked about depending on when during the sleep cycle you wake up, a lot of times it's better just to be late and lay back down and finish out, let your body adjust and finish out that sleep cycle than it is to try to power through it and get up and quote unquote wake up and get moving.
Yeah, so that was a thing that I remember learning in physiology class. That's I guess that's part of the uh, depending on how you want to look at the science, it might be part of the dogma. It might be part of the knowledge base there. But yeah, the idea if you wake up in the middle of a deep sleep cycle, which you which only lasts about 15 minutes, and you have 2 to 3 of them per night. But they're certain lengths apart. But if you wake up in the middle of a deep delta sleep cycle, um, yeah, it's better to go back to sleep and then wake up in a finish that sleep out and wake up in a different level when you have different brain activity occurring.
And with that, it hasn't happened that often, but there have been a couple of days where I can tell when I wake up that I'm just not. It's like something is not right, you know. And so I'll get up and get the morning routine stuff taken care of as far as the trade off with getting Jacob to school, and then just lay back down. And then normally by the time Emily's back from dropping him off, I'm okay and wake up and get moving.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Well, are you the type of person that when you wake up, do you need time to, do you have any sort of like rituals or rituals is not the right word, but we use that word in, I
Routine.
think the word routine. Yes, thank you.
Um, Not really. I mean, to an extent, I like to stretch and then I like to kind of twist to let my back loosen up and just release any tension, just because it's easier to go ahead and do it before getting moving. But like I don't, if miss those, I miss those. It doesn't bother me. The bigger thing is just when I wake up, if I feel overly groggy, then I know there's a problem. And that's when most of the time I have to get up and take care of something, but then it's lay back down, let that fade with, like something between a 15 and a 30-minute nap, and then I'm good.
Okay, let's say you've gotten enough sleep. You're well rested. Do you wake up? Are you like hit the ground running? Do you need time to like go from I was asleep, now I'm awake, but I'm not, don't expect anything from me for a certain amount of time?
Once I get out of bed, I'm good. It's just whether or not I get out of bed right away or lazily kind of lounge.
Yeah, so uh I, s- I think I understand that.
Yeah, so the way I would try to answer it would be when I wake up, I can, if I need to go ahead and get up and get out of bed, and as long as it's not that whole groggy feeling, then I can get up and I can go. If I don't need to get up and get out of bed, then I can also, like, I can choose to get up anyway and get out of bed and go. Or I can choose to lay there and be lazy, and then I'm going to be kind of in that lounge, half asleep, half awake state. It's like, but once I'm upright, once I get upright, then it's fine. I can go and do whatever.
Okay, that's sort of in the middle of what I was thinking. Was I didn't think of that being an option. It's like when my eyes are open. For me, much to the chagrin of Becca, when my eyes are open, I'm ready to go. Like there's like I'm either asleep or I'm awake. There's very little sort of like, you know, even when I'm not well rested, even when I need more sleep, I'm usually like, okay, ready to go, functioning. Let's move. Whereas Becca, on the other hand, she needs to go and be out of bed and have moments to, some time to get moving. It's like, it's like, yeah, she just needs time. And, those two kind of people just, one of them hates the other in the morning.
Yeah, I can see that. I think I'm just able to adapt to either one as needed.
Now, don't get me wrong. If I don't want to get out of bed, like I want to stay in bed, but I'm still fully awake. Like I'm more or less just as awake. Unless I can go back to sleep, then I'm up for the day. And there are times where it's like, how much work can I do from my phone and not get out of bed? Because that's I was like, I can answer these emails and I can answer these text messages. I don't need to log into anything at this exact moment. So that exists.
So I guess shift gears slightly. Did you see the
Yeah,
email I forwarded you?
I did. I read that email. That was cool. I didn't know we had a listener like this.
I didn't either, and I'm
That was really
curious.
cool.
I need to respond, and I figure I will tomorrow. I hadn't yet, just because I wanted to make sure I shared info first, right? But I'll respond back and see what their thoughts are, and just kind of feel it out.
They didn't specifically say not to name me, but they didn't say it was okay to name them. So I won't say anything, won't give any details as of yet. But we got a delightful letter from a listener that was encouraging and just shared his appreciation for our show, and that was that was really cool. Made me happy.
Yeah, I had the same general feelings, and so I wanted to make sure I obviously shared it and called it out. But since I haven't responded yet, I need to do that tomorrow and go ahead and initiate that response. That was it on that one. I just wanted to make sure I touched on it. I did forget to mention a couple of weeks ago, I thought about it, and then it slipped my mind again. But I got my Roller Pro.
Yeah. So, yeah. Are you sure? Maybe you told me.
I might have. I don't.
I can't remember.
It seems like I had planned to say something, and I didn't remember saying it. So if I did, then this is just confirmation yet again.
It may have been that we talked about it, and you were like, you were scheduled to get it in August and a little bit earlier. I don't think well, based on the last Kickstarter, I ordered mine the last day you could order it on the Kickstarter. So I knew I was going to get mine late, and they said they were targeting November, but I think in the last update email, they're thinking earlier than November, despite all of the production line issues that they've had. So
nice. It took me until today to actually finally set it up and transfer stuff. And so I'm using it as my add-on production carry, basically. So I've got a backpack. I was carrying 2 backpacks. And so now it's the one backpack that's my everyday carry with what I normally use day to day. But then if I need some extra pieces that I don't need every day, then that's when I was carrying the other backpack also. And so now that has been swapped to the Roller Pro plus the backpack, which makes life a lot easier.
Oh, I can imagine, because you could at some point you don't have to have anything on your body because you can stack it.
Yeah.
So how does it? So how does it live up to the hype with the? I think the trolley was really one of the big things that they were really proud about. I think in their development and design.
Yeah, I haven't really used it a whole lot, but I like the feel. I like the way it moves around. Just testing it out, once I had it loaded up with gear. So we'll see.
Well, I hope I get mine sooner rather than later.
And now I'm just waiting for my Pro tripod.
Did you get the passport wallet?
I did.
Okay. Are you waiting for that too, or did that arrive?
Nope, it arrived at the same time as the bag.
Nice, very nice. How does that? How is that? Anything noteworthy? Or just
I really like the way it's made. That's really about it. They use a magnetic closure in it also, which is kind of nice. I haven't really loaded it up with anything. I just put it with the passports. So I don't know, like in practice, how it feels, but just holding it, as I unpackaged everything and putting it away, it feels great. So we'll see. I didn't realize it had as many pockets as it has. So that's kind of a nice little added bonus.
Ah, nice. What I had one more question about it, and that is, remind me what color you got?
Black.
Yeah. You don't normally get black, do you?
It varies. I've got a black duffel. It might be the only other black bag, actually. Because normally I go for one of the grays, or I did pick up, the travel backpacks I did in 2 different colorways anyway. So I guess I tend to go for the grays, the charcoal and the ash, when charcoal was a decent option.
They're dropping that, aren't they?
I think that's the one they're dropping. Maybe it's ash that they're dropping. I haven't really looked that close at all the different colorways. So I quit paying attention to those after I got the everyday backpacks and the everyday messengers, because I only needed those in the neutral gray colors. Everything else I kind of just decided to try a color on a whim. So I've got the travel backpack in sage and in the coyote, and I really love the coyote, the brown. But it's also a slightly different material, so I don't know how much of it is the material makes a difference as opposed to the colorway.
They made a few years ago. They did a one-time run of the travel backpack in X-Pack in a urban camouflage, and then on the inside they had the all their flagship stores. You could get like a New York store one. You could get a San Francisco store one. They had that. It was once they're sold out, they're gone. They're never going to make them again.
Yeah, I remember when they did those. I thought that was pretty neat.
I thought it was neat too, and I think I was familiar with it. I was familiar with it at the time. I'd already been into the I'd already been drinking the Kool-Aid, and which is technically incorrect. They did not drink Kool-Aid at Jonestown, but I didn't like the multicam.
I can see that. I most of the color or the different colorways that I played around with or experimented with were in the different pouches more than anything. Because I've got, actually I don't even know how many of the different pouches I've got now, because I use them just randomly for different things. So I know I've got at least 3 tech pouches and 4 or 5 filled pouches, and a bunch of smaller bags and packing cubes I use for all sorts of different combinations of things. So
cool. Oh, I'm glad. It's nice to hear a good report about that. I look forward to getting mine soon. Hopefully. I haven't even gotten the pay the shipping whatever yet. So
I was surprised that came pretty quick for me. It's always, to this one and the Pro tripod I backed same day that they launched, and it's kind of early on in the campaign for me. I normally don't back quite that quick, even if I plan to. But I think with both of these, because they were doing the staged, or the, not staged, well, yeah, you could say staged launching where they did, the production runs that they're selling, and then production runs that are kind of wait and get it at a cheaper price kind of thing. So with both of them, I just went ahead and backed since I knew I was going to.
Yeah, I think next go around, I see they have something I'm interested in. I'll do the same. Back it on day one. But I'm not like real. I'm not. It's not like I don't have a bag. So.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I've got a handful of bags that are just sitting that get rotated through, and I have different uses for them.
I was gonna say, one of my children will, inherit my bag. So my current bag, I have the soft-sided away bag, but it's not the same as the one that they make now. They took it away for a while, and it's just like the hard shell ones, except for it's soft. And then they took it away, and then they brought it back. And when they brought it back, instead of it opening like 50-50 clamshell, it opens just like a flap at the top, and it's all one volume instead of two on either side.
Interesting. I don't think I realized they did a soft side case.
Yep. They did, and then they didn't, and now they do again. But it's not as good as the one that I got, so. Anyway, I think last week, or was it earlier this week? I think it was Saturday, maybe. Yeah, I figured out why I don't get the emails from Peak Design, and that's because I have set up my account with sign in with Apple, and so if the email specifically, I heard someone talk about this on ATP, and it was if you select the option to sign in with Apple and then hide your email address created, then only emails sent from the designated email addresses by the app or website will be automatically forwarded to the verified email address that I have provided, so, set up on my Apple account. So you were saying that they use Shopify, and so that's coming from a different location, and that's why that's why there's a whole bunch of emails I never received. I logged into my account recently, and nothing that I bought is registered. Like, I feel like I heard something about this, but like, did you experience where like everything that you've ordered and registered is now unregistered?
I haven't checked. I can look and see.
Yeah, I mean, I still have like all of my order numbers and so forth. Like everything's there, but nothing is registered anymore.
Took it a minute to log in. Let's see. So I've got the only thing that is listed under my registered gear is an everyday case.
Yeah.
But all of my order history is there.
Yeah, same. I have all of my order history, but nothing registered. And I used to have all of my everything registered, so I just go back and re-register it, I guess. And I feel like I saw an email about this, but I didn't pay too much attention. But I still sign in with Apple, but they have my email address as a different email address. And you can't just change your email address with their system. You have to contact them to change it. So, yay.
Yeah, I doubt I'll bother registering or re-registering everything. Just because, I mean, they're so easy to work with. They just tell you where to pull the serial number and you grab it, and as long as it's authentic, you're good to go.
Yeah. I imagine that it's like, well, if I need something, I'll just register it and complete the warranty there. Anyway.
I do have a clutch that is, the end strap is fraying. It's the oldest one that I've had. So I might have to actually contact them about that. I need to verify the integrity of the rest of the strap and see if it's just an aesthetic thing or if it's actually weakened integrity for where it's attached to the camera.
Mm-hmm. Which strap is it?
I think it's the clutch. Because we had this, I never remember the names for the different straps, but it's the hand strap for the DSLR size. So it's
Well,
not.
it's not like they. I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say it's not like they don't have one of each. I mean, or
Yeah.
they don't have two of something.
Well, it's like they use what, cuff and leash and micro leash or something like that. I don't know.
There's a strap, a mini strap, I think, or no, a strap, strap light, leash, and those are all like longer straps that you would use on like around your neck. And then they have the cuff, and then the what was the other one you said?
Clutch.
Clutch. Yeah, that's it. So, I haven't had a chance to watch your new video yet. I didn't see the notification come in, but when I go to the website, it's like, hey, there's a little blue dot letting me know there's a new video from Renegade Mobile. So I won't be able to talk much about the content from here, and I apologize for that. But I did see that you're considering stepping up to bi-monthly episodes.
I am. It
I'm
kind of
assuming
depends.
that means 2 episodes a month
Yes.
and not an episode every other month.
Well, it was an episode a month, is what I initially stated. And I feel like I can commit to doing more frequently than that, though I may not be able to do it starting this month. But like now that I've gotten a rough cadence under my belt and seen how it kind of aligns with other activities, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that I can do 2 episodes a month. So I'm toying with the idea. I'm not going to commit to it quite yet. I do have a script for the next episode more or less finalized. It's like I'm ahead of the curve from where I thought I might be, which is part of what prompted the thought that, this might be something that I can manage more easily than I expected.
Well, I was trying to give you a little bit of a hard time because bi-monthly means both twice a month and every other month.
Yeah, but
It's
since
a
it
failure
means
in the-
both.
Yeah, it's a failure in the. It's a no. Contextually, there was no ambiguity with what you said, but still, it's a failure of the English language. Or it could mean that the month likes both girl months and boy months.
Possibly. I was trying to remember, isn't there I'm drawing a complete blank. Aren't there 2 different ways to reference bi-weekly as well?
Well, bi-weekly means, yeah, I mean, I think that's where it comes from. Bi-weekly means both twice a week and every other week.
Right, but isn't there another word that we often use to keep that from being ambiguous?
Oh, fortnightly?
That wasn't what I was thinking of, but that does work.
But that works, right?
Yeah.
If we have fortnightly meetings, then it's every other week.
Yeah, I'm drawing a complete blank on what I was thinking of, though.
When you hear fortnight, do you think 19th century?
I
feels
don't
like a good 19th century term.
I mean, maybe. I don't know that I really think of it as in a time period. I just think of it as older way of referencing time than what we use today. Like, I don't really pinpoint a time frame.
Well, it's better than bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Let's come back to Renegade Noble, because I want to ask you a question about some things. Did you experience the hope and the spreading of thoughts and prayers last Friday night?
Did I experience it specifically? No.
Yeah.
It's funny because, well, it's not funny, but it's interesting that you decided to bring it up, because it's part of what prompted me to think more about stepping up the cadence as well.
Okay, so this ties in.
Yeah,
I would
it
know
does.
if I had watched the episodes, baby.
Well, no, it only ties in with what I have scripted to come.
Okay, so what should we talk about first? Okay.
Whichever order. Like, I have no strong preference.
Okay.
So,
well,
I guess the one thing that I'll say, just to make it clear what I'm referencing, just in case there's any ambiguity. So, last week you're referencing the shooting in Minneapolis, and the response from, at this point, the typical response, and the subsequent outcry about the radical left complaining about thoughts and prayers now, or something to that effect, right? So that kind of summarizes everything. But what I have scripted, because I felt like it was a good continuance of what I put in this first official episode, is specifically an episode on gun violence. So that's where all the tie-in kind of comes into play. That way it's, clear from a foundational perspective, and then we can take the conversation whichever direction.
Oh, I was talking about something completely different.
Oh, okay.
When you started saying that, I was like, oh, I totally understand why you're talking about this, because I did say that. So what I was actually referring to was Friday night, there seemed to be some amount of hopefulness that President Trump had passed away.
Okay.
Did you see this at all?
I did not, but I know
Okay.
I felt the surge of hopefulness over the past week. I'll put it that way. Until yesterday, today.
Something like that. So, and there's been some delightful memes about this. So, I've had some. So part of it is there's a certain level of difficulty. There's this. Well, also there's a certain amount of. What's the word I'm looking for? Starts with an S. Let's play this game. When you are there's a certain amount of scrutiny that is happening because people just really hate the president. So there's a certain level of scrutiny that's happening where anything that indicates something bad happening to them is obviously going to be something good happening to people that dislike him. So there's this scrutiny of maybe this is it, So I don't remember the exact days, but President Trump's calendar was cleared of public events. And I think that, and I read somewhere that, this is not an unusual thing. This happened during the Biden administration. This happened during the first Trump administration. This happened during the Obama administration. This is not an abnormal thing. But nobody's scrutinizing and hoping for the death of a president more than I would expect in modern history. And so he didn't have any public events on Friday, and nobody had seen him publicly. So by the time Friday night rolled around, people were all just like, maybe he died, because he has, there's obviously he's got some health issues that they are not being forthright about. So there's several things going on. We have this additional, this heightened scrutiny of this particular president, and we also have a White House press secretary that we just cannot trust. Like, she is a liar. It's like, if her mouth is closed, she's not lying to you. If her mouth is moving, she might be lying. So it's really quite, they're untrustworthy. So when they say he's fine, well, yeah, that's what we expect you to say. That doesn't mean it actually is the case. So for about 12 hours, like going into Friday evening into Saturday morning, there's a lot of people who are just like, thoughts and prayers that he's dead, thoughts and prayers that he was dead. And that's why I said thoughts and prayers. But it turned out, I guess he's not dead. He was, took a photograph, someone took a picture of him with somebody going to play golf Saturday morning. So that, that ruined that hope. So, but then there was
I was just going to say that I remember seeing some controversy over whether the photos had been altered or not, though.
Right. So then there's some speculation that some of the photo, there was a photo that was shared from the White House, but it was actually from 2019. So then there's been a bunch of memes where they're showing pictures of Trump from the 80s and be like, yeah, he's totally fine. This was him today, So those were funny. And then there was a video, and it was addressed today. President Trump addressed it today, but there was a video of the White House of it looked like black plastic bags being thrown from a second window of the White House. And so the response that he gave was, no, it couldn't be that. It's a fake. It's probably AI. And so he said those windows they can't even be opened, yada yada. It's like, why is he the person explaining this? Why is there not like okay, here's a video. Maybe it's a fake. Maybe it's not. Why isn't the White House press secretary? Why isn't there not even, there doesn't even be a video? Why isn't there a release getting ahead? Okay, it happened. They can't get ahead of it. Well, let's go ahead and get ahead of people responding to that, because that video I saw it on Sunday, so it's been 48 hours before it was addressed, something like that or more. And it's just such a, I have to be really careful, because I have the same amount of hope that I think other people have, or maybe people are more hopeful, but I have to be real careful not to get my hopes up and be like, I see something, these folks are doing weird shit. They've been doing weird shit their whole lives. And it's going to be more of the same weird stuff. And I got to make sure to vet it and not get my hopes up too soon. But yeah, there was a 12-hour period where it's we were hoping maybe he's dead. And probably the best thing I saw was somebody asking if there was a measure where we could get the flag flown at double staff instead of half staff if he passes away.
I was trying to think through, because I remember seeing a write-up about the whole window thing, and I don't remember all the different pieces, but there was some additional context that I thought was interesting to make note of.
I did read something about it. I read CNN's article about it, and they spoke to people that are, I could probably tell you, but basically your current experts in detecting fake pictures and fake, AI generated images. And so they said there's nothing about the video that indicates that it's AI generated, because the flag is flying, all of the little details, like which flags are in sight and the actual waving of the flag. Because I think one of the telltale signs of AI is that it can't do timers. If some surveillance video has a timer on it and you go look at the timer, it's a telltale sign that that is a fake, because AI just can't do the timers, or can't do clocks, which is kind of interesting. Anyway. Yeah, so CNN spoke to an expert in AI generated fake video, and they're saying there's nothing about this that would indicate that it's fake. Now, it doesn't mean that it's AI generated. That not that it's not fake. They can't say that it's not fake, but they can say that there's nothing that indicates that it's generated by AI. And there are telltale signs that it is probably a real video, as in not generated by AI, but whether or not that people actually threw out because there's other ways of faking videos than just AI.
Yeah, some of the context I was thinking of was around, I don't remember the timeline. At some point, the windows were replaced with bulletproof glass and sealed in a way where the only way you could open it would be to actually remove the window from the frame, which could feasibly be done during some level of construction work, which could lead to, something being thrown out a window. But it would not be allowed while the president is at the residence.
Right. That was something that was in the CNN article, that there was,
Okay.
So the window that it came out of was in his private residence. There is some construction work going on there, and the president wasn't there over a good part of the weekend. He was staying at his golf course in Virginia. So all of that, as far as the plausibility of somebody throwing trash bags for construction out the window while being really disappointing, that it's not something more. It's but also maybe good, but very plausible. But why wouldn't they say that? Why wouldn't somebody from the White House say there's some construction work? So I don't know.
Well, I assume a large part of that is just the level of competency that we see throughout the White House in general.
Fair. That's a fair point.
Like, it's as much as I would like for it to be something else.
It's not.
Yeah,
I'm confident that it's not.
the with this administration at least, it's easier or better to err on the side of the simple answer, which is just negligence or incompetence.
Occam's razor.
Yep.
I learned that from the movie Contact. Matthew McConaughey taught it to me.
I was about to ask, was which one was the one with Jodie Foster, or was that also that one?
That's Contact. Yeah, that's Contact. Okay. Yep. He and Jodie Foster have a conversation about Occam's razor. Like, she wouldn't know what it was. Of course she knew what it was. She was a scientist. I think you have to learn that in, being a scientist 101.
It might be a prerequisite to even being enrolled in that class.
See, that's where it's like, okay, you got to remember, most of the audience doesn't know Occam's razor, and Matthew McConaughey was the vehicle to teach us about that.
Fair enough.
That's where it's like, well, the art's getting in the way of the art is getting in the way of the art. So, over the last, I don't know how long it's been, at night when going to bed, I decided to rewatch Breaking Bad, and I think that the show is, if it's not perfect, it's nearly perfect. Like, I don't think it has any plot holes whatsoever.
I would love to be able to comment, but it's still in the unwatched category.
Yeah, I'm trying to get you to move it towards the top of your list, because it is solid. It is. I said maybe the only plot hole there is that it never. So it takes place over the course of 2 years, 5 seasons that take place from the main character's 50th birthday to his 52nd birthday. And that's no spoiler. This is not a spoiler, but it doesn't seem like it's ever summertime there. And if you go and look at the fandom wiki page, it gives a perfect timeline of the whole thing. And there are episodes that happen in the summertime, and I was like, well, maybe that's a plot hole, or maybe because they're probably, maybe they were never recording during the summer months because they had a schedule. There's TV does a schedule based on the release of the episodes, not when they are, and you just fake it. It's like it could be summertime, but if it's a winter scene, they're going to make it look like winter or whatever. Anyway, there's that, and maybe I just don't know Albuquerque's climate enough to know that is or isn't summertime, because it's like sometimes it's like, oh, I can tell it's cold outside, but sometimes it's like it doesn't seem cold outside, but everyone is still wearing a jacket.
I was thinking it seems like you see that pretty often out west as far as portrayals go, but then I realized I don't really have anything to support that statement.
San Francisco.
Yeah, but it's not. I wouldn't think of it being the same as Albuquerque. I mean, it could be. Again, it's one of those things where I don't have enough like direct experience with other parts to say one way or another.
Well, I'll say that the high today in Albuquerque was 89 and the low was 62. So if you're, I don't know. Anyway, that's the only thing that could conceivably be a plot hole, but that's really neither here nor there. But it's a fantastic show.
It's definitely still in the list.
Yeah. There's also it did so well that they made a movie to tie up certain loose ends after the show was over. Like it wasn't needed, but it was appreciated. And then they decided to take one of the characters and give him a show, and so there's a prequel series, and it's also really good. It's like you could actually over all three of like the two shows and the movie, like I haven't been able to find a plot hole. Anyway, is it possible to talk about your new episode without me having seen it?
Possibly. I mean, I don't know if there's anything really that I would specifically jump into talking about. It was more like when we talked about it last time, it was me just making the comment that based on the substance, I ended up just using stock footage for B-roll where I would place edits instead of, just because there's no footage that exists. Like I'm not rolling a camera for doing good deeds, so to speak. And so really just kind of getting other feedback on how that flowed. I have my thoughts on it, of course, but it's always good to just hear a different perspective. So I don't know that I have anything specific really to follow up on it, to be honest.
Okay.
It's what it, just what it comes down to. It's more just thoughts on the way it was edited as opposed to, well, and I mentioned the way it was, framed and everything. Like the initial episode 0, I mentioned making specific choices that I didn't necessarily like, but did for a reason. And you can see the contrast between that episode and this one.
Okay. I'm going to keep that eye, and I'll certainly have more to talk about next week. It's been it feels like it's been busy, but it hasn't actually. Like I can't think of I couldn't give you I was busy with these things. It just, I don't know, things filled up and I didn't get the alert. So
I get it. I've actually had a lot more that I've been working through over the past week than I expected to, but it's all like none of it is anything really new. It's more me trying to kind of flesh out and make more coherent certain things. Like I mentioned last week, the whole Project Jujutero branding for the course. Well, I don't have that branding developed, and so working through some of that. And that's a lot of thinking about some things, trying some things out, sitting on it, reevaluating. It's administrative work at the end of the day. And that always feels like it's busier than it should be. But then I've also got 2 projects that I need to wrap. One is just editing now, unless I end up needing to shoot some additional B-roll for. And the other is we're still trying to nail down time to shoot B-roll to be able to finish wrapping it up. So it's a lot of back and forth, which just equates into more busy time without really being busy, I guess, is a way to think of it. Because it's busy from the standpoint of like trying to correlate or coordinate things and do some other stuff and all, but it's not busy from a like time crunch perspective.
Yes, that makes sense.
But it, all that is just to say that the past week or so has been more of a blur than normal weeks, and the next week's going to be interesting because Emily will be out of town at a conference for part of the week, which always makes just for an interesting time as doing this whole solo parent thing for any length of time.
Oh, I hear you.
I had put in here potentially mentioning anything about the Apple event, which since it will be, the day after this episode drops.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything specific though, but I wanted to at least mention it for general timeline, if within the episode, and just give the opportunity to say something. But I don't even know what to expect. So,
well, I'm a fan of puns, but I generally don't like Apple's puns and their event names. Like this one is all droppingly, or I think that was what was in the event invitation.
Something to that effect, yeah.
All dropping instead of jaw dropping, all dropping. And then they've created the Apple logo with what looks like a heat map. It's Predator Vision.
My understanding is there's an interactive version of it on the website.
Yes, yeah. If you go on a touch device or even on a Mac, you can move the cursor around and interact with the heat. So wherever there's movement, it will appear to be hot. So if you were interpreting this as as thermal vision, like predator vision, that's what I like to call it. I've heard someone say that might be referencing the rumor is that the back of it is going to take up more space, and somebody has referenced that it is something having to do with better thermals on the next iPhone. So I'm like, really, we're going to build something around that? That's got to be. Now I'm sure if that's a thing, there might be some really cool engineering explanation of how, like an explanation of the engineering feat that they overcame, and I'm all about that. Like, in the day, give me a 6 to 9 minute Johnny Ive video where he describes some process that no one's ever done before, and they're the first ones to do it, and they figured it out because they had a goal of like, we're going to do this. And so, yeah, I'm all about that. But ahead of time, it just seems like a weird thing to focus on.
It's also not really the way they tend to focus the events anyway.
It's true. So that may be not at all the thing.
The only way I could see it being a thing is if it makes such a huge difference to battery life that it's worth building the event around.
Yeah, I think so. Because it's not ever going to be about, here we fix something. It's always going to, Apple's MO is to be like, look what we made better. Look at how much better we made this. It's never about we fixed that thing. Now, how we made it better might be that we fixed that thing, but it's always the angle that they always go is, here's this better thing. And that's, that makes sense. That's what you're supposed to do. For some it may feel disingenuous, but if I'm not mistaken, corporations are not people.
They should certainly not be treated like them, yet they are.
That's true. Anyway,
so outside of that, like the only thing I actually do know is, of course, the OS, just because it's it's a given. But that's the only thing I've paid any attention to.
There's rumors of. Go ahead.
I did see a slide somewhere that had a breakdown of what the rumored devices would be. So I've caught a handful of names, but I didn't even look at that very close.
So I think the current rumors are the 16 Pro, as you would expect, and the Pro Max.
You mean the 17?
Sorry, the 17 Pro. Well, yeah, assuming they're going to call it 17. There's going to be a Pro and Pro Max. There's going to be the standard with no, just the iPhone and the number, if we're going to stay on that numbering system. And then a thin iPhone, like the iPhone Air, which is going to be less powerful than the Pro, but much, much thinner. And I think that's rumored to replace there won't be a standard Plus. So right now we have a 16 Pro and a 16 Pro Max. We have a 16 and a 16 Plus. The Plus would be omitted.
Seems kind of dumb, actually. But then again, I don't get this whole desire for everything to be thinner.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. I also listened to the last episode of the talk show with John Gruber, and they're talking about this, and then also talking about in next year's event. They're already doing rumors for next year's event. So more than a year out, the rumor is that there's going to be a folding iPhone, and that's one I don't get either. I can understand that if your only computing device is a phone, which that is a lot of people, especially in developing countries, having the biggest possible, that's, where, I feel like phablets were really popular, is because if you only have one device, then you want to have as big a screen as possible. So I get it from that perspective, but I've handled a folding phone once, and it wasn't the book folding kind of phone. It was the clamshell kind of phone, and it's not that I don't get it. It's just, it's not for me. At least what's out there is not for me. And I think that Gruber mentioned that the statistics are that it might be something like, there was one statistic that it was 5% of the market, and they thought that was in the conversation that he was were mentioning that, he said he felt like that wasn't overinflated, and it's probably more like the less than 2% of the market. That makes sense to me. So I'm not saying it shouldn't be out there. It's just, like I said, not for me.
It's the kind of thing that does feel like it's a very specific use case or type of person, for sure.
Yeah. And, I will say, like, when, before September 2012, before the iPhone 5, I was like, I didn't have like a major need for my phone screen to be bigger, but when I heard the rumor, I was just like, I'm not against that. Whereas like and like I'm not against a folding phone either, but it's just like, I don't think that's, the thin phone and the folding phone. I was like, yeah, great. There are some enthusiasts that are gonna really like that, but that's not me. And so I tried one time. I did the iPhone 11. That year I didn't do the Pro phone, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I'll do that again. Even if I don't know what it is, but it's like I wanted the Pro phone.
Yeah, I should probably clarify my statement too. It's not that I think the thin phone is necessarily a dumb idea. It's not having the plus version of the standard phone. Like, to me, that's the driver of that market. And so swapping it for an Air, quote unquote, seems like a dumb business move, but maybe not, we'll see.
Presumably there are folks over there that obsess about this, and we're just over here armchair quarterbacking.
Yeah. And
no, I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying, because it just seems like,
and it's definitely driven from our biases.
Right, but there's room for both, right?
Yeah. In my mind, yes.
Yeah. You remember when it was just one phone? It's like, hey, here's the new iPhone.
Yeah, I do kind of miss those days.
I do too. But at the same time, I also, yeah.
I mean, having choice is good.
Yeah, this goes, agreed. And really where they need to like focus on choice. Not that I want these colors, but like I am all behind them making more colors. And there's also a rumor that there's going to be like a bright orange one in the Pro model, which is not something Apple's done since they've had a Pro model. All the Pro models have always been a muted color. And it's like, yeah, continue to give us the black and white and some shade of gray in between. But also, some people that want to buy the Pro, because Pro doesn't actually mean professional. Yes, you can do certain professional things on it, but Pro means deluxe more than it means professional with the iPhone.
I agree.
So there doesn't have to be these, muted professional colors. I mean, the brightest one I get is the blue one. I've had both blue ones since they've been Pro models, and no, I take that back. I didn't get the 13 in blue. Anyway, yeah, I hear a lot of people talking about that, and I get it. Again, not for me, but I get it. Whereas the thin one, I was like, also not for me, but I understand why there's some people that want that. But that's the colors make more sense to, people wanting more colors makes more sense to me than people wanting thinness, because it's like, they're pretty thin. I mean, there's a point where it's like, we had iPhone 6 and 6S, the 6 was too thin and they bent it. So
of course you would hope that they also learned a lot more about engineering rigidity from that too.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, the 7 was just as thin, but it didn't have that problem, and maybe even the 6S the same.
I know for sure with the 7 was when they introduced that additional piece of metal through the midline.
Mm-hmm. The 7 was so cool. I liked the 7. Mostly because of the black. That was a cool black. Just the we've talked about this multiple times, but yep. I skipped the 6 and the 6S. I went from, I think when the 6 came out, instead of getting it out, like, because I was on an every other year, so I had a 4 and then a 5. And then when the 6 came out, instead of getting a 6, I decided to go less expensive and get a 5S because I wanted Touch ID. And then I got a 7, and then a 10, and then an 11, and non-Pro phone, and hated it so much that I threw it into the river by accident. Yeah, there's a black iPhone 11 in the bottom of the Coosa River. That oh no, I lost my phone, and I didn't replace it with the Pro. I ended up replacing it with a 10s.
Yeah, for the most part, I think I've pretty much had a model from each year since the 4.
I was planning on keeping my phone a little bit longer, but now I'm in a place where it's like I have to pass down phones at this point. I have kids now I'm passing them down, and I've got 2 kids.
And so you have to
So
alternate years that you pass down.
I guess I haven't. This is a new dynamic in my life, and I haven't yet figured it out.
Thankfully, we don't have that problem at this point. Though, it, have a phone set up that is, I think it's a 14 Pro, actually. um, just
Good
because it
phone.
was the most recent other older phone that I had to set up for him. Um, but like he doesn't get to use it all the time anyway. It's literally just, we talked about it not too long ago, with travel and the general app and everything. Um, and so I probably won't have to really worry about it for a couple of years still. But because now I hold on to older phones for development purposes, I'm pretty much always going to have a relatively recent older phone.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I think they say if you can make it to 8th grade before giving him a phone, that's great. If you can get through 7th grade without giving him a phone. And I think that's what ended up happening with Luke. But then, this is, the benefit of being the younger sibling is that, well, sometimes, depending on what it is, sometimes, hey, Luke is doing this thing, so I guess you get to do this thing too. It's like if you decide you want to take your firstborn child to Disney World when he, at the age of 10, it's not like, and they have a younger sibling that's 2 years younger. It's not like you make them wait 2 years until they turn 10 and take them. That's not cool. So, yeah. So Jude has a phone. Luke has a phone. And I think a lot of it was that Luke got a phone so that his social life was picking up in such a way that, there is no landline where he can call his friends, so he needed a phone. So,
Yeah, that's something that that's kind of new as well. Because even up until fairly recent history, landlines were still fairly ubiquitous, even if you didn't use
mm-hmm.
it that much. But I haven't had a landline in 20 years.
Oh wow, I thought, yeah, I was gonna say mine's been, I think, 16 years.
Yeah, I had one when I first moved out, and then I did. I guess it's probably been a little under 20 years, not by much, probably about 18 years. Um, and I only say that because I had a real brief stint where I did have a landline when I had DSL through AT&T in an apartment. But that was only a byproduct of, like, I didn't even have a phone hooked up. It was just a byproduct of the package. But
Yeah,
if from a technical standpoint, I had a landline, even if I didn't have a phone on it. Uh, but the last time I actually used a landline and had a phone hooked up to it, for me personally, would have been over 20 years ago.
the first time, like, I'm trying to remember. I don't think I had phone service in the first apartment I moved in, like after college. Right before I got married. Was in 2004, and I don't think I had a phone line. I also didn't have internet because there were like 3 or 4 people in my apartment complex that had Wi-Fi, unsecured Wi-Fi. Like I had no trouble for 15 months. I had no trouble connecting to the internet through one of those connections, one of those routers. And it wasn't until August of 2005, I moved to New York, and the only time I started a landline service, and it was because it came. Well, it wasn't even landline; it was VoIP. It came packaged with it was like internet, cable, and phone was $100 a month, and I was like, that's pretty good. So I think that if you did, I don't know, they work it in such a way where it just really even though it was less expensive to do just internet, it did not compel people to do internet. But I know that I had a phone connected to it, but we rarely ever used it. So I've only set up, and again, it's not a true landline. I've only set up a terrestrial phone. That's a dumb way of saying it, I guess. On once in my life, and it's kind of the heart of my favorite conspiracy theory now. My new favorite conspiracy theory, and that is, since 1999, in 1999, The Matrix was released, and cell phones have been replacing landlines and payphones since then. So it's been 26 years that they've been replacing them. It's because they know that's the only way we can get out of the Matrix.
I'm on board with that one.
Yeah, I love that one.
We have a number of different ways set up for you to get in touch with us to provide feedback, ask questions, or just comment in about something we've discussed.
You can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at untitled_hosts, or shoot an email over to untitled.hosts@gmail.com.
Or get in touch directly with Jesse at jthart.com, or get in touch with me, John, via telepathy.
If you would like to support our work or are interested in listening to our new after show feed, head over to patreon.com/theUntitledPodcast and take a look at the options we have set up.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you've enjoyed the show.
And we hope to connect with more of you as we continue this journey.
That's a wrap.